you know what a group of flamingos is called? That's just one of thousands of facts you'll discover on 5 daily trivia questions. Hi, I'm Mark Ellison. Join me every weekday for 5 mind-expanding questions about everything from ancient history to modern technology. Perfect for impressing friends or dominating your next pub quiz. 5 daily trivia questions. And the answer, a group of flamingos, is called a flamboyance. 5 daily trivia questions.
Hey folks, Garrett Fisher here. I need to tell you about this absolutely mind-blowing podcast, Acting President, that's been keeping me up at night. It's about James Bennett, a former governor starring in a hit Sunday night TV show about overthrowing the government, and then his actual former chief of staff approaches him to do it for real. The line between fiction and reality completely disappears when these course correction rallies start popping up everywhere. Is it brilliant marketing or something more sinister? The parallels are insane. Trust me, this is the political thriller you didn't know you needed in your life. Acting President, available now wherever you find podcasts.
Calaroga Shark Media.
A short, previously unpublished foreword by Pope Francis has recently come to light, offering a window into his approach to communicating the Church's teachings on love and marriage. The writing was intended for a book aimed at young Catholics from the YOUCAT Foundation, an organization approved by the Vatican to publish church teachings in youth-friendly language that distributes books in 70 languages worldwide. This is White Smoke, the path to a new pope. In the foreword, Pope Francis articulates the Church's traditional position that marriage is of sacred importance and exists only between a man and a woman. While breaking no new doctrinal ground, the text illustrates who Francis was as a pope, a pragmatic and compassionate communicator who skillfully repackaged the Church's doctrine for a modern era. Francis opens with a personal touch, writing about the tango, a dance from his homeland of Argentina that he loved and participated in when he was young. He compares the discipline and dignity of the tango to marriage, showing his characteristic use of accessible metaphors and symbols to convey spiritual lessons. This approach helped him connect with a wide audience throughout his papacy. I'm always touched to see young people who love each other and have the courage to transform their love into something great. I want to love you until death do us part. What an extraordinary promise, Francis writes, emphasizing the holy commitment of marriage while using charm rather than austerity. True to his reputation as the people's pope, Francis quickly grounds the aspiration of marriage in reality. Acknowledging the statistical likelihood of divorce, "I am not blind and neither are you," he wrote. How many marriages today fail after 3, 5, 7 years? He even personalizes the message. Maybe your parents, too, began the sacrament of marriage with that same courage, but were unable to take their love to completion. Throughout his papacy, Francis demonstrated understanding that the Church's teachings on divorce, celibacy before marriage, and same-sex relationships could seem unattainable for many. While not changing doctrine, he sought ways to make the Church more inclusive, such as marrying couples who had already lived together, giving more latitude to local priests regarding divorced and remarried Catholics receiving communion, and allowing priests to bless same-sex couples. The foreword references his 2016 apostolic exhortation, Amoris Laetitia, a document on family that called for greater inclusivity, as well as his recommendation for churches to establish marriage preparation programs. According to the UCAT Foundation, this foreword will not be printed in the upcoming book that will be a task for the incoming pope. Nevertheless, it highlights Francis's style and signature policies, and may eventually be considered by the committee who will decide if Francis will be canonized. Francis concludes with an appeal. Believe in love, believe in God, and believe that you are capable of taking on the adventure of a love that lasts a lifetime. Love wants to be permanent, until further notice isn't love. We humans have the desire to be accepted without reservations, and those who do not have this experience often, unknowingly, carry a wound for the rest of their lives. Instead, those who enter into a union lose nothing, but gain everything, life at its fullest. What made Pope Francis's papacy distinctive extended beyond his words to his very attire, a visual testament to his values that spoke as loudly as his homilies. In 2013, as Elizabeth Tennety observed in the Washington Post with her headline, "Like Pope Francis, You'll Love Jesus," the new pontiff's sartorial choices echoed those attributed to Christ himself. Humble garments that emphasized care for the poor and detachment from worldly wealth. Throughout his papacy, observers fondly noted Francis's preference for simplicity, from purchasing his own eyeglasses and driving a modest Ford Focus to residing in the Vatican's guest house rather than the traditional papal apartments. This unassuming approach created a striking contrast with his predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI, who had revived luxurious papal traditions, including the Camaro cap and famous red shoes that hadn't been seen in decades. From his first appearance on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, Francis signalled his approach by forgoing the traditional red, ermine-trimmed mozzetta and gold-embroidered stole, wearing instead the same silver cross he had worn as a bishop in Buenos Aires. Italian designer Filippo Sorcinelli, who created vestments for Francis, described the Pope's preference for noble simplicity, drawing inspiration from the medieval era depicted in Giotto's frescoes, where clergy appear in plain garments. Francis not only dressed modestly, but actively de-emphasized traditional clerical attire, reportedly teasing one overdressed cardinal by asking if he had come dressed for a wedding. He sometimes referenced certain styles in his homilies, describing long black cassocks and wide-brimmed saturno hats as symbols of traditionalism and rigidity within the church. His everyday accessories included a Swatch watch or a Casio timepiece that retailed for just $23, and he made headlines by personally visiting a Roman pharmacy to purchase orthopedic shoes, eschewing the traditional red papal footwear. Perhaps most poignantly, less than 2 weeks before his death, after spending 38 days hospitalized with double pneumonia, Francis made an unannounced appearance at St. Peter's Basilica wearing not papal regalia, but simple street clothes, black pants and a long-sleeved white t-shirt under a blanket. While this choice stirred some controversy, theologian Arthur P. Urbano saw in it a reflection of Francis's identification with the suffering and vulnerable, noting, "It was probably not intentional, but the choice he made not to put on his official garments that day also reflected his theology." In this final public image, as in his entire papacy, Francis's clothing choices evoked his namesake, Saint Francis of Assisi, who, according to legend, rejected luxurious attire and sometimes stripped naked to give his clothes to the poor as a gesture of humility before God.
Feeling overwhelmed, stressed, like life's moving too fast? Take a breath, take 5 minutes, and take stock of all you have to be grateful for. I'm Olivia, and I invite you to join me for 5 Minutes of Gratitude, the podcast that transforms your outlook in the time it takes to drink your morning coffee. Together, we'll explore the power of thankfulness. From life's big blessings to its smallest joys, we'll discover how gratitude can change everything. 5 Minutes of Gratitude, because a thankful heart is a happy heart. Follow 5 Minutes of Gratitude now wherever you get your podcasts, and let's start our gratitude journey together.
You can get this podcast completely ad-free right now. If you're on Apple, just click the banner that says Uninterrupted Listening, and you'll get your first month free. If you use Spotify or other podcast players, go to calaroga.com/plus. It's just $5 a month, and you'll get access to over 20 premium shows with no interruptions. Binge listen to new series like the political thriller Acting President, Signal Lost, where military secrets land on the wrong phone, and Pager Protocol, the thriller about exploding pagers in the wrong hands. Plus, enjoy daily shows like Palace Intrigue about the royal family, daily comedy news, and 5 daily trivia questions to test your knowledge, and White Smoke, taking you behind the scenes at what's happening right now at the Vatican. You also get all our hot shows like 5 good news stories. Enjoy your favorite content without any ad breaks. Remember, Apple users click the uninterrupted listening banner for your free first month, and everyone else head to calaroga.com/plus. Get ad-free listening today.
Hey, Wait Smoke listeners, we thought you might want to check out our podcast, Question of Faith. I'm Deacon Mike Hayes.
And I'm Father Damian Ferentz.
And we're going to be talking all about Pope Francis's funeral. Our buddy, Father Eric Garris, was at the funeral, and he'll be joining us.
That's right. Not just at the funeral, but he was there the day Pope Francis gave his last blessing, last Angelus on Easter Sunday. Then the next day, he was at the tomb of John Paul II when he heard that the Pope died. So it was a big papal week for our buddy, Father Eric Garris, and I think he'll be a wonderful guest.
We'll have that and a whole lot more. You can catch us on Question of Faith, wherever you get your podcasts.
Each day we'll take a look at possible candidates to be the next pontiff. As the 7th Filipino to become a cardinal, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle would be the first Asian pope. The 67-year-old currently serves as the pro-prefect for the section of First Evangelization of the Dicastery for Evangelization, having been made a cardinal by Pope Benedict XV. He is the most liberal candidate among the frontrunners and often dubbed Francis II in his similarities to the late Pope. Cardinal Tagle has typically shown more left-leaning politics, similar to those of Pope Francis, and has criticized the Church's attitude and language towards gay people, unmarried mothers, and divorced or remarried Catholics. He said in 2015, "The harsh words that were used in the past to refer to gays and divorced and separated people, the unwed mothers, in the past they were quite severe. Many people who belonged to those groups were branded, and that led to their isolation from the wider society." His background as a cardinal from the Philippines positions him perfectly to represent the Church's growing presence in Asia and the global South. Tagle's communication style is warm and accessible, making him popular among ordinary Catholics. His engaging preaching style and active social media presence have helped him connect with younger generations of the faithful. However, some Vatican insiders question whether he is a candidate who is more prominent in media coverage with less real support among cardinals who will ultimately decide. Despite this skepticism, his appointment to high-profile Vatican positions by Pope Francis suggests he has significant backing at the highest levels of church leadership. If elected, Cardinal Tagle would represent a historic shift for the Catholic Church, not only its first Asian pope, but also a continuation of Francis's more pastoral approach to controversial issues. His election would signal the Church's recognition of its increasingly global character and the growing importance of Asian and Pacific Catholic communities. We'll continue to have daily updates for the foreseeable future. Please join us every Sunday for our regularly scheduled episode of White Smoke, The Path to a New Pope, where we explore humanity's most elaborate and secretive transfer of power. White Smoke is a production of Calaroga Shark Media. Executive producers John McDermott and Mark Francis.
In Washington, D.C., power flows through information. But what happens when the most sensitive military intelligence in the world ends up on the wrong phone? In the halls of power, a national security advisor makes a fatal miscalculation. On the other side of the world, a special forces team walks into a perfectly orchestrated trap. When the dust settles, 4 American soldiers are dead, 3 more captured. And the most catastrophic intelligence breach in modern history is just beginning to unravel. Signal Lost, a 6-part podcast thriller about betrayal, courage, and the devastating consequences of a world where even our most guarded communications are never truly secure. When everyone is listening, nowhere is safe. Signal Lost. Available wherever you get your podcasts.